coffee. So welcome back. This is Journals for Breakfast. My name is Andrea, and you are so welcome here. And first of all, it is still January. This month, has this felt like this to you? I just can't even believe it is still the same month. There are things I did in December that feel like they were 5 years ago. But here it is, still January. But something interesting has happened today. I woke up today and said, yeah, I'm back, baby. I could just feel it. I was just ready to tackle the world. I have a big full week. I have a lot of things going on, and I just am here for it. And the previous weeks of January have been productive in their own way. But as I've shared here, I'm not a big resolutions maker. And I've learned over time, it doesn't matter if I am. January 1 is not the day to start them. February 1, March 1, move them back a little bit. January is a month for me of restoring myself, restoring our home back to what it looked like pre-holidays. So I did a lot of that this month and still was very productive. A lot of things have gotten done. But yeah, it also, a lot of rest took place. And yesterday was a day of rest. I just didn't have it in me. We had a really full week, and I listen to my body these days in a way that I never did before. If it tells me to stop, I stop. So a really low key day yesterday, just really took it easy, pushed a few chores that I thought about getting done into today's schedule, and that's totally great. And now I'm here for it. What we're going to talk about in this video is that my love affair with the Hobonichi cousin is still on and strong. So I did a little overhead, just kind of telling you where I am with this tool right now. And I just love it. I love the size of it. And because of the way that I have sort of eked out how I'm using this, in my last video, I was just getting used to the thing. It's a brand new planner system for me. I've been a paper planner forever. I never went to digital planning. I've only ever used paper planners. So that concept wasn't tricky for me to shift over to, but this is a new system. So to me this year in 2025. And yeah, so I love how it's going because it's doing what it's doing for me. It has shifted a bit the way that some of my other journals and planners are working for me. And I love it. There's room for all of it. So my OG, my sweet, real, true heart love is this little passport traveler's notebook, passport size. It's a compilation of multiple notebooks. And this is the first thing that I got into in the world of kind of YouTube influenced journaling and planning. I have always been a journaler. As I said, I've used paper planners my whole life, but I found the YouTube planning and journaling community in 2020, at the end of 2022. And so at the start of 2023, I invested in a passport, a collection of maybe 2 or 3 passport notebooks and this passport cover, and decided to give travelers notebooks a shot and kind of see what everybody was talking about. For some reason, I knew intuitively that the traditional traveler's notebook, that standard kind of taller version, I don't know its measurements, was not what I was looking for at that time. And I'm really glad I stuck with my instincts and went for the passport. And I have absolutely loved it. It's never, from the moment I put this thing together, it has never been out of my sight. It's in my purse when I'm driving in the car. It's next to me in the kitchen when I'm at the studio at work. It's sitting next to me here in my studio at home, and it sits next to me on the couch when we're watching shows at night. It is a bit of a security blanket, to be honest with you. In the last few years, I've battled some pretty intense emotional situations, some self-doubt, things like that. And this really just is a little security blanket. I can write kind phrases to myself in it. I keep sort of reminders to myself about what's real and what's not in here sometimes when my mind is trying to take me to a place that's not really full of truth. It's just full of self-created sort of self-doubt. So yeah, it's a bit of a security blanket. It also has served as my to-do list and a planner of sorts as well. So it's morphing a bit this year because this Hobonichi is working so well as a planner and a to-do list. I don't really need this to be that specifically. So I'll show you in the overheads. We're going to go through him as he was at the start of 2025. And then I have another version of this that's all art, all collage. We're going to go through him page by page. We'll take a look at all that collage work. And then I've cleaned them up a bit. And so I show you kind of the final cleanup on him towards the end of this video as well. I think I am interested in a traveler's notebook, but I think it's really beautifully designed for traveling. And I just have not been doing any travel in the last 2 or 3 years. If I discover that my calendar fills with some trips, if I'm going to go on 3 trips in a year, I would invest in a traveler's notebook solely for the purpose of being a traveler's journal. But in my current setup of journals, what I have going on, it just doesn't have a place right now. And of course, my dream trip is Japan, and I would buy a traveler's notebook at the traveler's store in Japan. I mean, are you kidding? Like, whoo, Mecca. So anyway, let's take a good close look at what's happening with him. If you've been considering a traveler's notebook, or if you purchased a traveler's notebook for this year and it's just not working for you perfectly, but you like the company and the paper and the brand and are still interested in kind of being involved in that, then see what you think about the passport size and how I use it. I hope it serves as some level of inspiration or thought for you. Yeah, so that's what's happening here. And at the end of this, we're going to do a card pull. It's a long video today, as they all are, but I'm going to make time at the end of this video for a card pull. We're going to pull from the Work Your Light Oracle decks. I added a journaling workshop to my class schedule at the studio that I own here in Florida. And so on Saturday mornings, students come in and we journal together from 10 to 11:30. And we've had different themes week by week. And this week's theme was using tarot decks, oracle cards, angel cards, etc., as journal prompts. And it was such a wonderful morning. One of the students brought her collection with her. Oh my gosh. There had to have been 12 decks on the table. I think I have a lot. She has a lot. And she said that she has even more. They are a fun thing to collect. So I love sharing those with you here so that, for one thing, you can kind of see what they look like. This deck was found at Barnes & Noble. An exciting thing has happened in my world. An independent bookstore has opened up just down the road from me. Why is this exciting? Okay, 1, independent bookstore opening, not closing. Miracles are happening on this planet right now. It's so exciting to me. 2, she focuses on fantasy, romance, and some sci-fi. She also will order in anything that you want. But are you kidding me? Like, is this the Andrea bookstore that just opened up? She's very near to me. And I live in the middle of nowhere. Let me tell you what opens up around here. Gas stations, storage unit, businesses, mattress stores. Like, I live on an industrial highway, if that helps you at all. My subdivision's tucked in behind it. It is so bad. And an independent bookstore opening up right down the road. I mean, when I went in to go see her, she didn't have like chairs and tables and stuff, which is good, because if she did, I would be there too much. Frankly, I would probably never leave. Anyway, my point is, you can find oracle decks and things like that at small bookstores as well. So support those guys. Etsy sellers, lots of places to find them. So we'll do that at the end of this video. First, let's check in on our beautiful Hobonichi in love, Crush City. I would put little hearts around my head right now if I knew how to do that. I'm not that good of an editor. Next, after that, you're gonna go deep dive into the passport with me, and then I'll join you back at the end of all of that for a card reading. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I hope January has seen you get through some things, and also give yourself a lot of grace about the things you haven't started yet. There's plenty of time in this year, I promise. And yeah, let's take a look at this stuff, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so let's do a little flip through of the Hobonichi. Now, let's start with a little reminder. I put this little notebook in the front cover, and I'm just adding things to it daily that jump out at me as kind of valuable little tips and ideas. Yeah, just some really cool things. I'm reading Simple Abundance right now. This is a part of my 2025 daily practices is Simple Abundance, and I'm really loving it. And so sometimes something I've read in here, I just want to put a little note about in my journal so that I don't forget it, and I'm not carrying that big volume around with me. I'm teaching journaling workshops at my studio, and in a few weeks we've got 2 back-to-back sessions, meaning Saturday and Saturday. And the first one is collage, meaning the kind of collage that I do, which is collage that's just art. And then the next one we're going to do is collage that's focused on manifestations of, what am I saying? Like vision boards, things of that nature. And so she has a piece in her book about illustrated discovery journal, which is essentially an ongoing journal that's a constant flow of a sort of vision board. And so I wrote about that in here. I think that's such an interesting concept, and has been around for a long, long time. So yeah, so just some notes in there. And then we get into the, kind of weekly layout. And you can see, remember how messy this was from last time? Love. It's starting to clean up. I've figured a few things out. That doesn't look very clean, but I have figured a few things out. Look at that cool sticker. Not cool. That's from Washi Tape Shop. Okay, this may not look clean to you, but I can start to see a system happening here. Do you remember, side note, that I bought those reading journals accidentally thinking they were sticker books? And I said I was going to cannibalize them, and I have. And these covers that came on them, I thought would make really cool pencil boards. So this particular one, I'm just going to cut down and use as a pencil board in the book journal. But the back cover had a couple images on it. I think it went that way, something like that. There we go. And so I cut it in half to make it a little extra pencil board in here. So that's what this little guy is. You can start to see now, I can anyway, a system is building. One thing I have figured out is that I do like to write with pencil in this. I haven't been erasing much, but this paper takes this lead really nicely. And if I do need to move something or erase it, I can. See the ghosting from, it's not quite bleed through, but it's ghosting from that dark pen. So I'm going back to pencil, which is how I've always done to-do lists anyway. And so I started in on that here, and I'm really digging the setup. My basic to-dos for the day, what's for dinner. That's pretty much enough for me on any given spread. It gives me a really easy glance at the week ahead. Obviously, this will fill in with more messy brain because that's who I am. But at the moment, I can at least spot what's coming up. So I'm really liking that. And then, remember I told you I just use these blank pages as just kind of a catch-all for some fun stuff. Okay, so look how wackadoo January was to begin with. I had no idea what I was doing in this planner or how I intended to use it. And we're starting then a weekend, we start to see a little bit of, okay, maybe this is something. I did try a little watercolor. I did try a little collage. Why not? We're just testing the system to see what we love. And then around the 9th or 10th, I'm like, I'm getting a groove. I think I understand what I'm doing here. And I realized that I like my little stencil kind of bullet journal topper here. I like a little header that tells me what day it is. And I'm actually liking a little bit of journaling within. Actual journaling, like, hey, here's what happened today. Here's how I'm feeling about it. That kind of journaling sort of thing. So you can see that starts to continue now. After the 10th, we get into a groove. Here's the bullet journal to-dos. Here's the header for the day. Here's some journaling. And I'm really, really enjoying it. I've had a lot of fun adding stickers. And yeah, I'm just really loving it. So see how that starts to settle in. So I do get that it is still pretty chaotic. But as I said, that's who I am when I journal. That's just never going to change. But see, it is starting to see some systems, and I'm still playing with different inks here. That's part of the chaos too, is there's no consistency even in ink color or pen style. That's going to change as we start to flip through those. I was trying a fountain pen in here, obviously having troubles with my pen. Yeah, here we go. Starting to look good. I love this one, all that glitter. Really fun. And yeah, these are some super fun washies. I actually found these at Staples. They were a 5-pack at Staples a long time back. And I love how they bring a little brightness to, especially to a bleary kind of Monday. And it was gray. Oh, we haven't seen the sun in a week. It's been wild. So yeah, I'm starting to dig the system, right? And so now what's happening is at night, like yesterday was Wednesday, I go through and double check my sort of bullet journal stuff, write in a little entry about the day. These were some quotes that I found while we were watching TV, and just sprinkled those in there, and then got Thursday outlined and ready for me. And then now in the morning, I sit down, do my little bullet journal, such as it is, stencil about my to-dos, and then I'll do some actual journaling in this space tonight when we go to watch TV. And I do just keep this little pencil, Hobonichi pencil board, kind of behind the day I'm currently working on. So when this is closed up, it's very easy for me to spot if I just want to flip over to this actual day where we're working right now. So I'm loving the system. I don't have much more to say about it. I did leave this little affirmation tab back here for now, and threw in a watercolor and a phrase that I saw. I think it popped up in Instagram quotes. I loved this one. Worry is a misuse of imagination. I just had to jot that in somewhere, and that felt like a good place for that. So we'll see how these pages turn out for me back here. I don't need them to be filled right away. I don't have, yeah, I think they're working just fine. So that's the update on Hobonichi so far. I did add another clip because I like this jelly pen for some things. I'm liking the pencil. If I go 100% pencil, then I might get rid of this and move it over here. But while we're talking pens, I had to run into the Dollar General the other day. We needed plastic spoons. So where else to go but Dollar General? And I showed you guys these last week or last time. I had ordered these from Zebra Pen Company online on their website. They came really quickly. I thought they were reasonably priced. I really love the feel of that felt tip pen, but it is bleeding through on the Hobonichi. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. And then these are these highlighters that I thought would be kind of fun, but the colors of them are a little strong for me. It's turned out I haven't loved the color palette as much. So I'm in Dollar General and I decide to go check out their stationery section, and typically it's a mess. And when I mean a mess, I mean it's like bins of just random stuff thrown in, and you just have to rifle through and see what happens. Their stationery aisle was pristine, and hanging were this set of these midliners in these 3 really beautiful colors, this sage green, this ivory, and this kind of camel. Aren't those beautiful? And then this 4-pack in these sort of muted tones of the felt tip that I like so much. What I'll say is that, I mean, the packs were $3 a piece. We're at Dollar General. I was amazed. And obviously I didn't have to pay shipping. Here's some things to know. See how when you order them from Zebra Pen Company, they come in this nice box. Well, I mean, by nice box, I mean you could keep it, right? And you can keep them in this. These were in one of those deals where you have a piece of cardboard that they're sitting on with a plastic cover over it, and you have to pull the plastic cover off, and then these all fall out. So that's one thing I will say is if you order directly from the website, I think you're getting a nicer pack as far as that goes. The other thing I'll say about Dollar General is just because this Dollar General had these in them does not mean even the one that's a mile away or 3 miles away will. It's very hit or miss with those style stores. So I grabbed them while I was there, and I'm glad that I did. You may have actually seen them, and I didn't point them out. And of course, now I've taken my pencil board out, but these show up here, right here. So I'm starting to use them in these spaces. And actually these are all, this tree was done with those pens. It was done with that and these two. So I'm really loving that palette. Look at this. This is the sage green, the kind of cream color, and then the camel. I just did little patches and then wrote my phrases in with the gray felt tip. I'm really liking that. Yeah. So see, this was the other pack. See that green? That's a little intense for me. I mean, I think it's fun on some days, but generally speaking, I think I'm going to find myself really grooving with these super muted colors for this book as we go forward. So just thought I'd mention that little deal. Keep your eyes out. I always check that stationery aisle. It is rare I buy anything. And like I said, it's typically just such a hot mess. But as it turned out, it was a good day for little finds in the world of stationery at Dollar General. It does happen. Okay, let's move on to this guy, which is the passport. Let's take a look at him and see what's happening. Okay, so there was a little jump there. Sorry, we went out to go run a few errands. Among the things that we got, firewood. It's that cold. Okay, so here is this guy. Let's just take a look through him and see what can come out. I love this Traveler's Notebook, passport size. I have an extra pen clip here that I just ordered online and I just attach wherever. I don't always carry this with, so I like that I can just remove it. This cover that I have is from Windrose Custom Goods. I have linked her in several videos here, including the very first video, and I will link my very first video, and I will also link her again in the description. I selected the passport size cover in this color, and then when I looked at my options, I chose what kind of pockets I wanted. And I did those a little differently in this one, which is also from them, in this hunter green. Let's see what I put in this one. Yeah, so just a big flap in here, not the two and then the flap. And then I did the two back here. Let's take a look at this guy first. You can see I do put stickers right directly on the leather. I don't care because if they start to get weird, like this one kind of is now, I can just pull them off. And then I can come in. In fact, all of these should probably come off back here. They've been here for a while. I can come in with some leather oil and tone him up a bit. But what's interesting is look at the color. I want that one to come off. Look at the color. It looks like all these are going. Here we go. It's a big pull. It's all right. Everybody comes out. We're going new. This is what it's patinaed to. This was not covered for a long time. This has had stickers on it basically since I got it, and you can kind of see how pale that was. So I'm going to come through with some leather cleaner and I'll just clean that up a little bit. It will also help tone it down a little. I guess what I'm going to say is I'm not super protective of this material because I want to love it and use it, and I know that I can just sort of burnish that out with leather cleaner. It's just not that big of a deal. I guess this is a good example too of what the leather looked like before hands got on it for a few years. Let's take a look at what's in here. Photographer who stopped by my business the other day. So I threw his card in there. Like I said, this is always out. 24/7. It's pretty much always accessible. Even when I'm working, I have it just sitting off to the side of my classes because sometimes I write down notes that students mention or a book or something like that. So what is in here are a series of notebooks. This one is from the Traveler's Notebook Company, and it's a passport size, and it is a blank dot grid. I think I buy these in 3 packs is how these show up. And then, of course, I cover them with my own collage work to just make them customized to me. And this is my favorite all-purpose passport book. I do to-do lists in this, but I also do notes to myself, affirmations, things like that. So yeah, this is a big mix. And sometimes even I've done a little bit of journaling in it when I've been in my women's group, and it's just easily accessible to me. This is stuff I'm looking for in thrift shops this year. Like, it's literally a 2025 list of things. Look at all the lists of stuff that I was working on at the end of December, beginning of January. So yeah, it's just a big mix, and I really love it. This also tends to have to-dos in it that aren't like the to-dos of this week, because those are all in that Hobonichi. But this one is general to-dos. I need to organize my passport journals. I need to add Midnight Library to my book journal. It doesn't matter when I do that. You know what I mean? I just don't want to forget. So it's not going in my weekly Hobonichi spread of legit to-dos. These are just things that come to mind at night while we're watching shows. So been looking at that problem of what I'm going to do, couch time crafting, and writing some notes about that in the evenings too, to sort of figure out that dilemma. I really like to be working on something. I didn't say this in the opening, but when we're watching a show, I like my hands to be doing something. And knitting has fulfilled that for me because, again, I can do it without referring back to any lessons. But y'all, knitting has just hit a wall for me right now. I guess that'll change in time. I don't know. It hasn't at the moment. So this whole collection is bound together. Oh, there's a little hair in there. Bound together. I have to sort of open these up to look at them because they fall behind tape that I put on my bindings here, and those rubber bands can cut in behind that. So this is the notebook that I mentioned a few times here that I thought I would really adore because it's this brown craft paper. And you know what? I actually have not loved it because it's brown craft paper. I don't know why, but it just had this way of kind of shutting me down a little bit. But I just kept working through it to see, and honestly, it's almost done. And so I'm happy to send this one along and say, thank you for your time. It was good having you here, but I did not respond well to the brown craft paper. I still like making collages in it. And I suppose I could collage up a few more of these pages, and probably will. I don't think I'll let them go to waste necessarily. But yeah, I have another one of these too from last year. And it also, I just remember struggling with that brown craft paper kind of shutting me down a little bit. So I'm going to pull him out for now, and then I'll decide what I want to do with him down the road. I like to add these clear pockets into my notebooks in some places. One, I like to keep my glasses cleaner in there. So yeah, I'll say goodbye to him for now, but we'll replace him with something else, and we'll put a pocket folder there. And then another thing I'm not totally sure about the use of right now is this clear thingy. I mean, it's got a bunch of kind of, I guess what I really need to do, I could keep this clear thing. I need to do a cleanup of what's in it. It just, what I'm going to suggest is, I just bought this sticker the other day, side note. Isn't that cool? I'm going to put that on a notebook that I intend to do more of that sort of vision board work in. Like, my collages are just expression. They're just art for the sake of art. These aren't trying to suggest movement in a specific direction or landing any specific goals. And so I saw this at the bookshop I was at the other day and thought, oh, I'll put that on the... Anyway, I think I need to clean this out and make what's in here more appealing to me, because what's happening is I'm just not using any of the stuff that's in here ever. And this needs to clean out too. It's a card holder, obviously. And I made this little card from ink that I got for my fountain pen and some little collage work when I got this notebook, which was honestly a couple of years ago. Yeah, that's my own business card. which I guess is fine to carry around here and there. I do hand them out on occasion. I think we'll get rid of that. And then I already knew, or if not get rid of that, I think we'll let's clean him up and make him more useful. And then this, I only just popped in there recently, and I told y'all about this in my last video. This is a mini sketchbook for watercolor. And I don't know why I have it in here. I'm definitely not going to watercolor out of this book. If I was going to do something arts related, it would be out of this book. So he needs to be in here. I don't know. I guess I thought I would just see if like the mood ever struck to use it for that. And the answer is no. So I'm going to move him along into a book where he actually could be useful. Because this does not seem to be that place. So he's going to go. This is the month at a glance, which is what it sounds like. It's this month at a glance. They're undated, which I love because I can go through spells where I'll skip a month or two and then I haven't wasted paper or wasted pages. I don't have blank months looking back at me. So I'll keep this going because it is handy to have a monthly. If I say out and about and then somebody asks me for a date for something. I'm not out and about. I mean, it just really doesn't happen very much. But it is nice to have an easy way to just glance at what's coming up in next month. You know, if somebody asks me, hey, do you want to do lunch on a Tuesday in March? I can very easily, you know, just sort of look through and pick the Tuesday that's going to work the best based on how much is going on that week. So yeah, I like that one. And I do like the collage work that's on here so far. And this is also from the Travelers Company. This is just their blank paper. No, I'm sorry, just their blank calendar. Yeah. So this one will stay. And a clean, new, tidy version, which I just had here and I moved. Here we go. This is a new dot grid. So my dot grid that's getting full. We'll add this guy in, which is always fun because I get to add artwork in the form of collage if I'm going to put a new one in. And then I have coming 2 new notebooks that are coming from a company called Just G Paper in California. And I think they'll be here tomorrow. And so when those come, I'm going to drop those in and we'll take a look at those. These notebooks come in 3 packs. And they're sketch paper, but they're also good for watercolor. Let me grab one of those real quick. Let's see if I have one that has paint in it. I probably do. Yeah. So here's one I've actually done some paint stuff. Oh, I did a collage and paint on that one. Oh, I like that. I haven't looked at that in a while. So that's torn paper and some stickers along with the paint. Anyway, this paper holds paint really well. It also holds collage really well. So these same notebooks, so this was a 3-pack, 1, 2, 3. And I do a lot of collage on that same paper as well. I really like them for that. They hold up really nicely. So you can get these at arts and crafts supplies. You can get these at big box stores, small stores, whatever you've got. 3 packs of these artist sketch pads. And clearly they're larger than the actual Traveler's Notebook size notebooks, but they do fit in here well. And so I believe that I will be adding maybe one of those to this setup too. I think that came off of a collage. We'll see. And then, so this guy, we need to do a little tidy up. And see, that'll make him a bit smaller. And especially if I decide to keep him out of it or just really clean him up. Let's find out what happens to him. I'm curious too. And then this guy, he looks super chunky, but it's really just because of all the paper and glue. He's technically, I think, only 2 notebooks. You see what I'm saying about those rubber bands getting caught down in the binding? Yeah, it's caught behind a little piece of the paper there. So yeah, this is how this notebook came. And this is what it turned into. So it fattened up quite a bit. And there's 2 of them in here. And if you'd like, we can just do a little flip through on them. And then here's the cover. And I want to sort of work this cover a bit more. You know, see how stiff this brand new cover is? Really stiff compared to this super soft guy, because again, he's just had so much handling. And so I want to kind of soften this one up quite a bit too. So I want to get my hands on him a lot more. I may just kind of massage and work on him tonight while we're watching shows. That'll be something I can do with my hands. There's that Windrose Custom Goods stamped in the bottom corner there. A quick flip through on the collage that's in here. This was one of the very early ones, one of the very first ones I ever did. Yeah, 23. In January of 23 is when I discovered Traveler's Notebook passport size. And it's when I discovered that I like to do collage. I'd never done one. Really, I don't know if I'd ever done one specifically where I said I'm just going to start gluing stuff to stuff and see what comes out. And so this was one of the very first ones that I did. And I think as we go through, you'll see that I didn't really have much of a style that was super specific, right? It was sort of randomly stuffing stuff in here and sticking things too. I was just sort of finding my groove. And over time, they start to look more and more similar. I guess in time, everything starts to take on whatever your style is, right? It will start to show itself. And so that starts to happen. These were all January of 23. I do like moving parts. So typically, oh yeah, there it is. I usually have things that move. Dolly. You gotta love Dolly. But yeah, so yeah, I was definitely into the moving parts thing right in the very beginning. I don't know if I do as much of that now, but I do like that. And I always like to have little things that pop out at you. So movement, really tactile. But I can even see how sort of no direction these have. Not that my ones right now have direction, but these were definitely a bit all over the place. Just trying all kinds of different materials and stickers and watercolor and just seeing what was coming. I do watercolor sometimes, just little phrases on paper or just pretty words on paper, and then splatter it or paint it or whatever. Then I can tear them up and add them to collage. It's a nice thing to do on a day that I want to be creative, but I don't really quite have the mental ability to create. I can just, you know, just make something pretty that doesn't have to actually be anything. And speaking of pretty things that don't have a purpose, we've talked about this here before. One of the things I really love about, it's my dog barking at something. I think Michael might have taken his bone away. One of the things I really love about collage is that it is one of the few, if not the only craft that I do that is specifically about the action of the creating. There is no purpose for this. I mean, it's beautiful, I think. I love to look back at it. It's fun to put my hands back on it. But by no purpose, I mean, there isn't an end result that I'm aiming for with this activity. And that's not true for most of my crafts. As a knitter, I'm making clothing for myself that I specifically want to have fit and wear in a certain way. That's not what's happening with this. This is creation for the sake of. All right, I'm going to go check on the puppy. I'll be right back. So there might be a little jump. Hold on. Okay, that was good to go check on him because it allowed me to grab some more notebooks I want to show you. And I went ahead and grabbed this leather cleaner too, so I can clean my other notebooks. So I'll do that. Okay. Anyway, I was babbling on about art for art's sake or creating for creation's sake. These aren't meant to be showcased. I'm not trying to make a living off of this. These aren't, they're not sort of like product driven. I like this one. This has a clean look to it. They don't have any real purpose, do they? Other than just being enjoyable to piece together. I can't wear them. I really can't gift them. Certainly not in this setting. They're not meant to be cards or greetings or anything like that. They're just for the sake of. And I think that creating for the sake of creating is something that we forget to do after a certain age. When we're tiny kids, we're given crayons and paper and told to scribble to our heart's content. We have no intention for those expressions. They're just the act of is the expression, and it's just so much fun. And that's what collage gives me, is a place to do that. And then this one is also started in 2023. And to be honest with you, I think the reason, so the reason there's two of these is because what I started doing was pulling a tarot card and doing a collage based on what that tarot reading felt like to me. So this was the Hanged Man. And Seven of Swords was the card that was pulled for this particular one. And I write a little bit about the card and the date that I pulled it. So that was a fun little project I was doing for a while. I put that one in upside down. I knew there was at least one that I accidentally did upside down. I think it was that one. And I think this probably tells you what the card was that I pulled. When you commit to your peace, you will be unshakable. That's a nice idea. And that year was Year of the Rabbit, so that's why that rabbit stamp keeps showing up in here. So these were all based on tarot pulls. That's some of that watercolor I'm talking about. When I don't really feel like I can make a painting of something, I can just get out a piece of paper and just start kind of putting words down, maybe sentences, thoughts, but they also could just be words. And then I can tear them up and use them down the road. So these were really fun. I think this is the cover photo for this YouTube channel. It might be for my Instagram. I can't really remember. This was a cool one. The Wheel of Fortune in February of 24. Healing, transformation, connection with higher self, and releasing the past. Man, has that been a theme for me for the last, year and a half, I'd say. And then I just did this one a couple days ago. I pulled 3 cards, and they were the Bear, which was protection. It was a Fairy, which was power and blending of spirit. And then there was, what was the image for mourning? It's on my phone. I can't look at it because I'm recording on my phone right now. Anyway, so I just did this one. This felt like kind of evil eye protection. One of them was your earthly self and your spiritual self are finding connection right now. And this sticker kind of seemed to embody that image to me. Anyway, there's those books. So that's what's been in this, but they're really big at this point from all the glue. They still have a few pages left in each of them. So I don't know what I'll do with that. I may just keep this here and just collage in it from here. I don't know why I would need to carry this with me. It's not like I really create collage on the go. But this tarot one, we are going to do a tarot reading class in our journaling workshop at work this weekend. And so I definitely want to have this one with me there so they can look at that for some ideas. And I don't know if I make this kind of a morning routine. I've been pulling cards a lot more this year in 2025. I think in part I just haven't had the creative writing impulse. And so pulling a card is a really easy way for me to do my own version of a prompted journal. If I pull a card, it just kind of tells me where to go. And I am doing that 3-card spread that I talked about, or 4-card spread for that prompted journal that I mentioned in my 2024 recap and what's coming into 2025. But I've actually just been pulling cards day by day. So I may just keep him here for that. And then this blank would go in because actually this is the wrong one, isn't it? The one I was thinking of was this actual Traveler's one. This one I actually keep on my watercolor cart. This blank doesn't have much in it yet. I could create a bit of a travel art book out of this setup, I think. And then that sort of vision board idea of a notebook, I think I'd like to keep that in here too, and I'll probably do just another blank one of these, which I can connect with a rubber band. Yeah, like this. And do more of a vision board style in that one. And even with all those books in there, of course they're going to get thicker as I add more to it, but that's a lot more manageable right now. And so I think he will fit in that carry-all along with that travel watercolor setup that I created. And maybe I will attempt to do a little bit more of that stuff away from this space. I think I would like to do that in other areas. So that should work out. What he really needs more than anything is TLC. He needs some hands on him to just kind of break in that leather and soften it up a little bit. This guy we need to clean, so I'll do that. Like I said, I have 2 more notebooks coming from Just G. I think these are going to make the cut to go in here, and probably one of the Just G notebooks will go in here. I'll show you those when they arrive. But look at this, is a whole bucket I have of traveler size notebooks or smallish notebooks from past. Like this is one of the very first ones. And this is that same sketchbook that I just showed y'all that I buy in 3-packs. And so it was just lots of, it was a mix, you know, collage, to-dos, I don't know. Some just words of encouragement. And when I filled it up, I took it out, but I hang on to them. I always keep these things. This was a pretty one. What was this? This was a monthly that filled up. I liked the artwork in this one a lot. This was just a watercolor that I just glued in. I didn't paint it into this. And some just kind words to myself. And so I love having that sort of thing with me. So yeah, and that looks to me like it was just a monthly that filled in, held on to him. Another, see these clear pockets I was talking about? I like to put these on, so I put this on over a sticker, so I have something pretty if there's nothing in the pocket, but then I usually put like an eyeglass cleaner or something along those lines into the pocket. This is a big part. Believe in what you put into the world. I was really suffering from some crushing self-doubt. It is a symptom of burnout for me. Kind of imposter syndrome kicks in hardcore when I am really battling fatigue and burnout. It's a symptom of my burnout, like low blood sugar is a symptom of diabetes. You just, if you are not taking care, right, these things are going to kick in. And self-doubt and imposter syndrome are a symptom of my burnout and my fatigue. When it gets really bad, it's something that I battle. And so those kind of kind words to myself, believe in what you put into the world, it was just a really powerful saying for me at a time that I was really struggling. And see, there it is again. Is anywhere that I could possibly see it, I put it. I love the stickers in this. Some of the artwork from this old book. Aw. I love these. Anyway, these are just ones that I filled in. They just eventually, that's a pretty piece. Didn't have any more room to write in them. This one was all, it looks to me like this one basically was all, I've got a few blank pages back there. Nothing but small collage. Oh, I loved that one. That was one of the first landscape collages that I did, where I kind of recreated that marsh that I paint, but all out of collage work. That was last year, April of last year. You know, April 27th, that's a month before I found out I had cancer. These are really pretty. I mean, that's nice of me to tell me that my own artwork is good. What I mean is I really love some of the papers and the things that I've collected, some of the stickers. That's what I'm referring to. I'm just sitting here telling myself how good my art is. That's funny. Although, why not? You should. This was one of the very first ones that I ever did. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that I was putting pretty stuff together. So this is going to be from 2023. Yeah, it was the very first one of these little books that I tried to kind of piece together as a to-do book and create some art within it as well. This had a lot of meaning to me in 2023, referring back to some kind of childhood times. Anyway, fun, right? This whole bucket. But within here are other things I can add in. Here's another one of those pocket folders. So if I wanted to put one into the art one, I could. A few more. Gosh, I've done a lot of these books, haven't I? Well, if y'all want me to do a flip through of all those books more slowly, if you're interested in that, I'll be happy to do that sometime. I just don't want to bore you to death here. These are definitely, that was one of the very first ones. I really had no idea what I was doing at that moment in time. I remember putting that together in January of 23. Work hard, dream big. Yeah, big changes were coming to me at that time. These are cute, these little decomposition notebooks. I have the bigger version of these too. They just always have the cutest graphics on them. But they are a little too big for the travelers. They're pretty bulky. And they also have that spiral deal. So they didn't make the cut, but they just ended up in this bucket with small notebooks. This was a cool one. I carried this for a long time. I just bought this in some little gift shop somewhere. And it's got plain paper. And you can see I filled a lot of it in and then took that out when those to-do lists were gone. He definitely will fit in the travelers because he's basically the same size as that sketch pad. So just a pretty little notebook there. But these are Travelers Company ones. I can tell by the wrapping on them. So this is watercolor paper, which I just showed you. This was this accordion fold. Here, let me move this bucket so I'm not right up in your face. This was this accordion fold version. I thought that might be kind of cool for like an ongoing collage or something. And I still think it would be because it's so concise, right? Just this little thing and then you got all of that paper coming out. So I might consider putting that into the show. Look at these. This is 2 more of those craft notebooks. I'm just going to have to think about this a little bit. I'm so surprised at my own reaction to that craft paper. I thought as a collage artist that I would have no trouble with the craft paper factor. And maybe I wouldn't. Maybe the problem is I keep trying to write onto that paper, and what I really need to be doing is using that for collage. Maybe that's just the answer. Thanks for helping me with that. Another dot grid. Like I said, I think I get these in 3 packs from Travelers Company, which is why I usually have a few of those floating around. This is one of those 3 packs. $5.99. You know, it's just a big box brand. And I know Walmart carries this size in various styles. But their paper, because it's marked for sketch, it's acid free. I don't think it has a weight on it, so it's not quite that quality. Phew, excuse me, I just heard that sneeze coming. But it does still work for watercolor, as you saw. I've used it plenty of times for watercolor. So that's kind of what's in there. And I think my focus right now is going to be, I'm going to clean this really well while we're watching a movie. We're getting ready to watch an old movie from the 80s. So I'm going to go give this a really good cleanup. That might mean the end of a couple of these stickers too that are fraying a little. That's fine. And then I'm going to work with this green one a bit. I might put some cleaner on him just to soften him a little bit. And I actually do think I'm going to say goodbye to this sticker. I've just had it on there for so long and it's not bringing me a lot of joy right now. And sort of work him in a little bit. And then I'll do another overhead, and it might be a kind of big jump because it could be tomorrow after class. I'm waiting for those notebooks to come in, and let's see what we piece together from all of this rambling stuff. Where do we end up? What ends up being the thing that works? Let's take a look at it. So yeah, let's do that. All right. Okay, friends, so here we are. This bad boy is tidied up. The notebooks from Just G have not arrived yet. So next time I do a video, I will show you those and what that looks like. For the moment, here's what's happening, and I really like the cleanup. I polished the leather back here, and I'm leaving it without stickers for now because as my hands work with this, it'll slowly work itself over to this. And you can see it's already starting to happen. Let's see what's inside. I cleaned up this inside pocket, and this little stencil I've actually really liked for kind of little mini checklists and things like that. It was an accidental order, as I seem to do. I just didn't pay attention to the size and realize how little it was until it got here, but it actually is perfect for this, an accidental good order. I've kept the plastic sleeve in for now. It glasses cleaner, box breathing paint chip. I think I told you about these. This is just a little in-hand reminder if I want to do, let's say, a 4-count box breathing session. So I can breathe in for 4, and then hold for 4, and then breathe out for 4, and then hold for 4. And I just kind of repeat that. And this is just sort of a little chip to kind of, I don't know, just put something in your hand, gives your mind a place to focus for a moment if you're just kind of needing to take it down for a second. And then I've got a better collection. And by better, I just mean stickers that are a little bit more updated, more in line with what I'm using right now in here. This is my basic thoughts to-dos, so that grid paper. And just like I said, sort of longer term to-dos. I'm thinking about knitting some blankets for my couch this year, so I'm really debating that. So this is here, and then we move into the month at a glance, and that's all that's in there at this moment. Right now, sticking out in this back little back little part is another dot grid because this one's getting ready to run out. I just have it there as a just in case. If I think of something that I want to get started in there, I will. But I'm holding out for those Just G notebooks. The other thing that I want to start doing in here, and I might start that in this one knowing that this is going to move itself over when this one empties out shortly. See, there's only a few pages left on this. This will be done by the end of, if not this week, next week, but probably this week. What I'd like to do is put a little flag somewhere in here, and I want to start a reading list in here that is actually what I'm currently reading. And I'm going to start it in January so I can list the 3 books I read this month and the book I'm reading right now. I was at the bookstore the other day, you guys, and we were talking about reads, and I could not remember the book I was currently reading, and I felt like a lunatic. How am I, 3/4 of the way through a book and I cannot tell you the title or the author? It was the weirdest sensation. So I'm like, look, that's where my mind is these days. I need an ongoing list of what I'm reading and who wrote it and what it's all about. The pencil that I use in here, because I was telling you that I'm using pencil now in the Hobonichi as well. This is the brand. And I get them on Amazon, but I'm sure this brand is sold on Jet Pens and places like that too. I'm moving it around a little to get that ring light out of it. A friend of mine sent me one of these, or maybe a few of these one year, and I told her it's the best mechanical pencil I've ever used in my life. And I've never used any other mechanical pencils since. So that's what I'm using all the time. It can handle the pressure, and I put some pressure down and it can handle it. It does erase really nicely too. I don't have to erase it very often, but when I do, it'll take it. And that eraser lasts. That's the other thing. Usually they just disappear. So this concise little thing, and then that is that Kaweco fountain pen. And I have been using him in here some, and I do like it. So I'm going to leave it there for now. But look at that little concise delight. I just love this thing. Just a pure security blanket of joy. Really loving it. So that's the cleanup. When Just G comes in, I'll show you her paper and I'll slip one of her notebooks in there and we'll see how that makes this feel. But I think there's plenty of room for it. In fact, this elastic is a little bit loose because I had this so fat for so long that it definitely put some tension on it and stretched it out. So one more little book in here won't hurt a thing. So there's that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed looking through the Traveler's Notebook passport size. Like I said, it's my OG love. I'll never leave her be. Let's do a card pull. Oh, I wanted to mention real quickly, because my knitters always ask me about what I'm wearing. And I did knit this sweater. This is the, trying to show you the length on it. Good Grandpa. It looks a little crooked. I don't think it is. This is the Good Grandpa by Kadri, and it is on my Ravelry page. The modifications that I made were this big bell sleeve. I knit long, folded it back in, and left a big bell sleeve on it, which has been really nice. Like this morning when I was walking the dog, I didn't need a jacket today. It's chilly here, but not cold. And that bell sleeve just kept my hands so warm and toasty while I was walking him. But I just did a whip stitch inside of that to keep that sleeve there, so that if I want to come back in and snip that and pull this out, I can rip back, and I could do a classic ribbed sleeve too, right? So I can change the style is what I'm trying to say. But for now, I like it. It's working, and I just leave it buttoned up all the time. These are actual buttons and actual button band, but I do just leave it buttoned all the time so that I can whip it over my head when a hot flash hits, because that happens constantly. So we're going to do a card. The light in here is a little dark because I moved them so that I can wear my glasses without you guys getting rings in them. And we're going to do the Work Your Light Oracle deck that I showed you earlier. Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. This is a card deck from Hay House Publications, and FYI, that publishing house does a ton of different decks, and I've loved everything I've ever gotten from them. I think they're really good quality. As far as like the cards themselves have a really nice, good card stock to them, and the artists that they use are fantastic. So I pulled a few cards to show you some of the artwork, and then we'll do our reading. This is Boundaries. Look at that beautiful image. I just think it's so pretty. And then the Ever Unfolding Rose. I've pulled this card many times, but look at all of that beautiful artwork on there. Gorgeous. Don't dim to fit in. Boy, is that a phrase. Don't dim to fit in. I don't talk about my journey with alcohol much here, but I stopped drinking 5 years ago. And alcohol, for me, it was dimming to fit in. I definitely used alcohol to make myself feel more connected, and also just, it turns out I'm a pretty strong introvert. I don't do well in crowds and things like that. And alcohol sort of softened that, but it was dimming me. A big part of why I just took it out of my story is because it just does not serve me well. It's not a condemnation of the product for other people. For me, it just didn't serve me well. I was dimming to fit in, and alcohol was one of the ways that I was doing that. Look at this gorgeous one. Answer the Call. I mean, I could just disappear into that river and those mountains and sunrise and this gorgeous girl just sitting off to the side. Just beautiful. They're just breathtaking. Anyway, let's do our card. The card I pulled for us today, for you today, for me today, I think is wonderful. I did a random pull, and it is Birthing a New Age, Birthing New Creations, Dreaming a New World into Being. And like I said, I kind of woke up today ready for 2025 finally. Yeah, there's just a shift in the energy. I don't feel hyper energetic. I just feel clean and ready to let's tackle some things. And things that weren't feeling very appealing to me, like even within my own crafting, started to feel appealing to me this morning. So birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. This holds some meaning for me as well. I'd be curious to know if you want to mention in the comments how this holds meaning for you. That journaling workshop that I added to my class lineup, in the very short story, what I'll say about it is that I decided that I wanted to add that to our studio because I'm shifting my studio from what was once kind of cooking class party central to an intentional living studio. And baking and home baking is part of that intentional living practice. But I wanted to add the journaling workshops. And to be honest with you, I was really scared. When I first started typing them up and thinking about putting them out on the public calendar, what went through me without question was fear. And so I really stopped and looked at that, and I said, one thing I do know about fear for me is that it typically stems from things that aren't really based in reality. And if I got really honest about my fear, I was afraid that people would laugh at me. That's the truth. If I really was like forced to define what's the one thing you're afraid of, Andrea, in launching these journaling workshops at the studio, I thought I would be laughed at. What a strange thing for a woman at my age to still harbor those, insecurities. So I just pushed through, and people are loving them. And I am loving them, but it is dreaming a new world into being and pushing through those fears. So let's see what the reading says. Birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Often, our path is exactly the one we don't feel prepared to walk. Walk it anyway. Often what is rising feels far bigger than we could possibly hold. Be a container for it anyway. Often our creations seem to have a wild, uncontrollable consciousness of their own. Birth them anyway. Often what is ours to do is the very thing that most intimidates us. Be courageous and do it anyway. We are birthing a new age. Right now, we're in a transition period between ages, in the process of allowing the old cycle to fall away and the new to rise. Like driving in the fog and trusting the road ahead will appear, we need to realize and release the old identities and the ways that no longer serve us, using our intuition as a compass. It is time to give permission and space for what is beckoning within to be born. We are dreaming a new world into being. I love that it mentions in here releasing old identities and ways that no longer serve us. I just mentioned to you that I had let go of alcohol 5 years ago. That was almost an identity for me, and it was a product that was no longer serving me. And I shared with you guys, I think in the last video, that I'm not as apt to write resolutions. These are things I want to add to my life as I am to pick something that is no longer serving me and remove it from my life in the new year. And I've done a lot of that in the last 5 years. This isn't serving me, away it goes. This isn't serving me, away it goes. Getting clear about why we hang on to the things that aren't serving us anymore anyway is such a process, and journaling can get us through that. I feel like this year, 2025, after shedding so many things, I'm at a place where I've made room to bring in the stuff that will serve me. And I think that also includes those journaling workshops. It also includes this channel. It includes you. It includes us sharing this space together. So I'm really, really happy that you're here. Comment if you'd like to about what you feel about birthing a new age for you looks like in 2025. Let me know how January, the longest month in the history of the universe, is going for you. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks for being here.